Blairing Out Show.
Mike Peters from The Alarm, the man, the myth, the legend, on the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show. Mike, we appreciate you coming down today, man.
Yeah.
What I've heard and what I've read is that you're wearing camo as a statement against cancer, that you're in a constant battle against cancer, and so you've started wearing the army fatigues for that reason.
Well, it's not. I'm not in a constant war with cancer. I'm not sure if I kind of like that term anymore.
Okay.
I've been battling it for such a long time that I kind of learned to. I'm trying to understand cancer, I think, more now. I bought the jacket in '95 when I was first diagnosed and first heard the word cancer. And this is a way of creating what I termed as a psychological combat zone. I could keep myself focused, and I bought the jacket. And I thought, when I've beaten the cancer, I'll take the jacket off when I'm cured. And I've got a chronic illness, so it's never going to go away. So it's kind of with me all the time. And but I've learned to understand cancer as much as I can. I prefer to see it as being an adversary rather than an enemy. It's a human condition. So I think we have to learn to kind of think it's someone we're out of step with. It's like another culture, and we've got to understand it. You know, it's here for a reason. I'm not sure what the reason is, and at the moment all we can see it's a destructive form. It's a destructive adversary, but maybe when we crack the code and we can actually understand it properly and talk to it, maybe there's some benefits from it somewhere down the line. I don't know. You know, I just think that now we have to sort of try and get to the bottom of it. And I sort of think it's like that Star Trek movie, Star Trek 4, when they had to go back to the past to find a whale to talk to this, what they thought was going to be a destructive force, and they took the whale to the future, and then they heard the whale call and they turned back. Maybe there's something in that, you know, and I think it's just we have to accept it's here, and it's been here all our lives and beyond our lives, and it's going to be here for generations. But maybe there's coming a time soon where people will crack the code of what cancer is all about and why it's in our lives, and maybe we'll see it differently. But until then, we have to focus ourselves on the positives that cancer evokes in us all, because I think people, if they can be positive about cancer, they can gain from it. They can gain life. They can get an extra day to hold their loved one or say goodbye to their children or something like that. And there's a lot of beauty in that. You know, the coming into this world is beautiful with children and everything, but the passing of loved ones is also equally as beautiful if we can embrace it and then understand it and take from it. And so the jacket really is a way of focusing my mind on staying alive.
I mean, it blows my mind doing all the research, and I mean, I was a fan of you as a kid. You know, I remember strapping on the black and silver Nikes and putting the Velcro on and running into the pit. You know, seeing you guys at Cal State Fullerton.
What a gig that was.
And what amazes me about your spirit is your never-ending optimism. No matter what you're faced with, you always look it straight in the eye and you throw positivity and optimism at it. Now, how do you do that?
Well, I think that's my upbringing probably has taught me that. You know, I had very positive parents who allowed me to do what I wanted to do. You know, when I'd seen Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols and came home and said, I'm going to be a punk rocker, they were like, well, okay, but if it doesn't work out, we're going to be here for you. It wasn't, I didn't have to go up against them and rebel as such. Yeah. They supported me, and their aim in life as parents was to bring up happy children and let me have a fulfilled lifestyle. And so they always said, look, whatever you choose to do, if that's what makes you happy, go and do it, but we'll always be here for you. And so that's where a lot of my optimism comes from. My grandparents were similar, and I've always tried to find the positives. I always think when you're faced with a challenge, there's always another way. You know, even though that you might see it as a door closing on you, if you look hard enough and can readjust your thinking, realign your stance towards life, then maybe just around the corner is another way. And some things are meant to be closed off to you because there's other things to happen in the future. And if you get too down on the negatives, then it can blind you to what maybe lies ahead. So I try to I think I'm a sort of a glasses half full guy, I suppose you could say, and as long as the sun comes up in the morning, I'm that's a gift, and a beautiful gift to be given every day. So I'm appreciative of life, and that's how I sort of face it off, really.
You know, you're a 3-time cancer survivor now, but your wife also is a breast cancer survivor. So you've had the very fires of hell thrown at you in the past, 10 or 15 years, and you have two young boys to raise too.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how you dealt with that and how that affected them. I mean, because they're young kids, they love their parents, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I was amazed how well they dealt with it. The kids, they're really stoic, and I think they were young enough to sort of know it was going on and trust that when we would say to them as parents that we're going to come through this. This is a phase, and I think they just got on with their lives of playing Xbox and golf and football and being obsessed with going out and hanging out with their friends, and I think I was glad it happened to them at a younger age. Whereas and they've also been with us on a lot of the Love, Hope, Strength charity hikes. From a young age, they've been climbing mountains, and they've been integrated with other cancer people who are either carers or nurses, doctors, or even people who are suffering from the disease. So I think it's something they've grown up with, and because I think when a lot of people, like when I first heard the word cancer in 1995, I was in my 30s, and it came as such a shock, and I was totally unprepared for it. There was no education about it in school. If you saw it in the newspaper, you turned over the page, you thought cancer was something that affected other people, and then when it lands on your doorstep, you have to wake up to it and deal with it. So I think for our children who were just immersed in it from day one, when they were born, because we've had cancer in our family since before they were born, they kind of understand it, and they're not as afraid of it as they might be if it just come in like a massive bombshell into their lives. So, and I think that's possibly one of the ways we can learn from cancer, that I think we need to talk about it at an earlier stage, bring it into schools. I know, we do sex education in schools, but maybe we need to say, hey guys, one time this disease called cancer is going to walk into your life. It might affect your parents, it might affect your friends, it might affect you, but this is just become aware of it and teach them what it can be, and that there's advances all the time. And that's why our charity is called Love, Hope, Strength, because one of the things we try to get across to people, cancer isn't always a death sentence, especially in this day and age. There are medicines out there that can ease the journey for people back to recovery. They can give people who have got the worst, a death sentence from it, but we can extend their lives now, and they can get another year or day extra to live, and that's worth hanging in there for. As men, we don't really understand what a woman goes through with breast cancer. I've been there with my wife Jules, and it's a savage place to be. Women have to have their bodies can be disfigured, and they can hide it with the way they dress, or they lose their hair, and they can wear wigs and hats, and sometimes we don't even know they're going through breast cancer. And that's why I've got a lot of admiration for women with breast cancer, because they tend to deal with it in such a brilliant way that we can learn from, in a way. And I think again, for men, if we're taught a little bit, it doesn't have to be much education. It's just enough to have a conversation while we're young with our parents, or in school, or in the workplace, or on TV. It's just hard to talk about cancer on TV. It's hard to bring it into people's living rooms through the medium of television, because people, I don't want to know about that because it's not in my family. But one day, most families are going to get affected in their lifetime, especially as medicine grows and we're all living longer lives. We're living healthier at older ages. I think I'm 64 now, and I think of my dad. My dad passed away at 64, and I'm still here at the same age, and I can run and still go and do sports and hike up mountains. My dad just played golf, and that was about it. Once a week, and I think our lifestyles as older people are so much fuller now, and we have so much still to contribute to life. And so I think opening up the conversation about cancer whenever we can is a good thing, because there's some incredible stories to be shared, incredible survival stories, incredible inspirational stories of people who've gone the extra mile to raise funds for their family, for their hospital where they're treated. And often in the media we hear about when things go wrong, when the hospital hasn't delivered, but we don't hear about the miracle every day of delivering children or saving somebody's life in the operating theatre. That gets we push that to one side almost in this race to highlight what's going wrong in life. And so I think it's good to talk about good news, and there's lots of good news in cancer, and if we can stay positive throughout the cancer journey, whether we're affected by it or remotely through being carers or loved ones, family, friends, then we can gain a lot, and we can survive.
The Blairing Out Show.